I am currently, because as I said in the previous wee chat, that I'm committing to getting this car done. So I am currently actually pulling everything out of the car and having a look and seeing what I actually have, because I don't remember. Going to go through everything that I've got and try and sort of work out where I left off. I'm going to write a nice race car list down the window. There's boxes and boxes of stuff in here. So, like, you know, Haltech fuel level conditioner for modifying the fuel tank, billet shifter all ready to go in there. I don't even know where half the stuff is. I'm just going to quickly go through all this and we'll rip into it, make a plan. One of my favourite words, billet strut tops, made by Cusco, has sport engine mount, adapter, which, as I found out too, on the K24 that I put in, this is supposed to be like a bolt-on adapter mount, but it doesn't clear the, they call it the spool valve, so you end up having to hone it out with a mill to make it fit, which was interesting. It's supposed to be bolt-on, it kind of bolts on. What else have we got? Got an alternator that I don't need anymore because I bought a new one. Welding mask. That is my wife's welding mask. She wanted to learn how to weld, so I went and bought her a whole bunch of gear and she's used it once. Get onto it. You've got a CRX to build. My wife bought a CRX, a Del Sol. I know some of you will be like, it's not a CRX.
You are really dumb, for real.
But it is. It says it on the registration. She wants to build a little B16A turbo, and she's adamant she wants to do 90% of it herself. So, you guys should peer pressure her into doing it, I reckon. If you guys want to see that, let me know, and I will put a link to the Instagram that was created so she could build the car, which has pictures of her nails instead of the car. Make her do it. I want to see her build her own car. As you can see, I also really thoroughly attached my body kit. I even painted the cage, which I now have to modify. That's my under the chassis rail oval pipe that I made when I was planning out the exhaust, because you can't really fit a nice 3-inch exhaust on a fit because it's got to go underneath the chassis rail. But now the engine's not even in the car and I don't have a gearbox right now. So, pro tip: when building a car, don't be in a rush to put on your nice steering wheel. The car it was always supposed to be just put a banger K24 in it. This has gone way over budget, proportion. It's gotten a bit out of hand. Brand new Aeroflow oil cooler that's still not fitted to the car. I don't even remember why I have made AN lines in my car. These old I know they've updated it now, but these old Gen 1 K-Tune thermostat adapters, so you can run any direction you like, because the Accord ones normally point up, the Integra ones sort of point down. This was just sort of to overcome that problem when you're doing K-swaps. These Gen 1 version of their adapter don't use these. The circlip groove on the inside is too small, and what we've had with every single car that's ever run them is the circlip falls out and then the thermostat falls out and blocks up the back of the water pump. I know they've addressed it now. The new V2 one that they've made is a lot better, but don't use these or buy the new V2 one. These are junk. I think people have just been like chucking rubbish in my car. Shifter cables. Thank you, Mr. Jaden Broad. He found these for me. DC5 factory shifter cables. I like using factory ones. I don't like using the aftermarket ones. They're too stiff. What are we doing? Working out where I left off with the car, because I don't remember. Like how many months ago? Years ago? Year and a half.
I'm pretty sure boys have probably chucked other random stuff that's got nothing to do with this car in the back.
Yeah, I'm finding all kinds of stuff. And hey, where's my door cards that you were supposed to get retrimmed by your neighbour?
They're upstairs.
Untrimmed.
Untrimmed, because remember he moved out and didn't do anything.
See? It's not all my fault. Alignment shims. I don't know if anyone knows anything about fits, but these are trail beam rear end. These shims are designed to effectively pack behind the wheel bearing carrier to change your toe and camber. As this was supposed to be a replica for the, well, not a replica, it's my interpretation, it's never was supposed to be the same, of the Jay's racing car from like 2005. I've now since found out that their one had an independent rear suspension, and I'm fuming about it because now I'm having FOMO and I'm like, oh, that means if I did it I'd have to cut the back of the car off. But like from the blurry cell phone potato pictures that I've seen, I've already figured out how they did it. They didn't share that information with me either, they just told me it was custom. I'm getting very tempted now to cut the back of my car apart. So do you want to see me make an independent rear suspension fit? you want to see how to do it? Comment below. The most important thing, I found 2 harness plates and 30 cents. I'm rich, bitch! I kind of like putting all my trims back in my car too. So I'm gonna, once we've pulled the dash back out, I'm gonna cut all these up to fit because I just want to make the car clean and tidy. I don't like having exposed metal panels. I think they look like shit. So what are we gonna do? So we're gonna do brake lines, spacers, so rear wheels, body kit needs to be finished, cage, because now I have to put a full cage in it, mount the shifter, brakes, like the actual brakes themselves. I guess we'll put oil cooler in there as well. What else are we gonna do? Fuel system,
ECU, wiring.
Oh, the big obvious
I put the strut brace on so you don't have to do that.
It needs to be painted. What colour as well? I had an idea. I was thinking about that new Onyx Pearl. Do I paint it yellow? Don't really want a yellow car, but
It is Jay's
style. Jay's style is the wish. Jay's.
But Torque Performance
Jazz.
is predominantly what, white, red, and black. So
It already is white. Look, this Fisher and Paykel faded washing machine white at the moment. The rails, I want to change those. Yeah, I bought like off the shelf seat rails.
Your seats are so high.
Well, there's a fuel tank in the floor. I don't know if anyone knows. Oh, so if you look with your big rig of a lens, down underneath the handbrake, you'll see the fuel tank cover. So the problem is with these is because they're trying to keep all the weight in the middle of the car to make them stable. There's a big hump in the floor, which is where the fuel tank sits. Now, other companies have taken the fuel tank out of there and put it in the boot. I don't want to do that. I would rather leave it in the center position because I don't really want to upset the balance of the car, is my thinking. Everyone's going to tell me I'm wrong, but I'd like to keep the weight inboard if I can. And I also don't want to build a big stupid firewall and not be able to see out the back, because the plan is to keep it road legal for New Zealand. So I bought off the shelf seat rails, back to my original point, and they sit up high and they're around the shape of that hump in the floor. The passenger seat one isn't too bad, but the driver's side one I actually have on an adjustable rail because my wife wants to drive this car as well and she's this tall. So, and I want my friends to enjoy the car with me, or the boys that are helped. Even Pierce can have a drive if he wants.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna probably cut them down and remake them, because the other problem is with this particular chassis is the harnesses, because the fuel tank is right there under the floor. I've got to figure out a nice and tidy way of mounting the harness anchors without rubbing a hole in the fuel tank. Again, if it was just a straight race car and wasn't going on the road, it would never be a problem, but this one has to be able to be driven on the road. I'd probably really like to move to some Recaros or something later on, but these cheap and cheerful and effective and meet all the requirements. They're a bit of a weird looking seat, to be honest, but that's the other thing that I kind of made. It's just a concept. It's an old radiator that we had lying around here that was never going back in a car. The way the shape of the fit is the nose is real stubby, so I was kind of trying to come up with an idea, make it out of scraps first before I just start buying new stuff and finalizing it. So it is the Mark IV Golf radiator out of his old car. And this is just a whole bunch of scrap aluminium that I just kind of quickly fizzed together. So if I go grab the bumper as well, because I don't have a lot of overhang and I need to keep the room at the back here because the engine's so big. There's not a lot of room for the intake manifold and fans and everything, because everything's all kind of crammed in here. So I'll go grab the bumper as well, and you guys will kind of see my train of thought. So I'll just go grab it now. I mean, obviously I'll make it a lot nicer when it comes to making the final product, but it's kind of got a little air dam in here. And then that also leaves this side open for my air intake, and that open for the oil cooler is kind of what I was thinking. I might even, put some extra holes in down here because I'm going to make a splitter for it as well for some brake cooling. I might get some factory ducts off another car, like maybe FK8 or something like that, and adapt them to this, or a DC5 or something like that, and have some feeds down the bottom here and have my oil cooler on this side. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. It's kind of like a ram here. We modified this fiberglass sort of Mugen ret bumper. We included the wide body part, integrated it into the bumper to go with this as well. And I've already tested this concept with our dyno fans. It covers 100% of the radiator going in through that small opening and then fanning out like it does. I've got almost no air loss at all from there, so that's kind of how I want it to work, sorry. So still a couple of things I might change before I actually order the stuff I need to make the finished product. But yeah, that's kind of the idea, the overview of the car. We've got a list of things we need to get done. Once we get the dash out as well, I'm going to pull all the AC up. I'm going to keep the heater because not having a heater is real average in a race car. We've got quite a bit to do. I'm really looking forward to actually getting stuck into it for a change. The road cars that we've already built, the fits with the K24 in it and the other giveaway K21, they were pretty wicked cars, but I want this to be something pretty spiced. Yeah, we will get it done. Made a plan. So on the next episode, it'll be stripping out the engine bay, starting to make up the brake lines, probably getting the dash out, and then have a chat with Nathan, I guess, to see how we can add on some bits and pieces.
You might as well just get them to paint the engine bay as well. While
Yeah, he tried to paint my engine bay, but
yeah, it was done with a rattle can, so it looked okay for the first few months, and then it got parked outside and
all the rust
holes leaked out.
All the rust that was treated in the engine bay and bits and pieces has turned back into rust. Typical Honda problems.